Word spread through the alien fleet faster than their commanders could control it. Stories traveled from ship to ship about the mysterious human warriors who appeared from shadows, struck without warning, and vanished like smoke. What started as confidence among the alien soldiers slowly turned into something their species rarely experienced. Fear Commander Zeth stood before Council Leader Vex in the main command chamber of the flagship. His forearm shook slightly as he delivered his report, and his usually steady voice carried notes of confusion and worry. "Sir, we have lost contact with 12 more landing parties in the past 48 hours, Zeth reported. Before communication stopped, each group sent similar messages about impossible tactical movements by human forces. Vex slammed one of his massive fists onto the control panel. Impossible human technology is centuries behind ours. Their weapons cannot penetrate our armor. Their detection systems cannot see our ships. Sir, that is what makes this situation so disturbing." Zeth continued. "They are not using advanced technology to defeat us. They are using something our databases cannot explain or predict." The large screen in the command center displayed footage from alien helmet cameras before the soldiers wearing them disappeared. The video showed empty streets that suddenly filled with human warriors, buildings that seemed vacant but contained hidden enemies, patrol routes that appeared secure but became deadly. "Traps, watch this recording, sir," Zeth said as he played footage from a landing party that had been eliminated 2 nights ago. "Notice how the humans coordinate their movements perfectly without any visible communication devices. They seem to know what their teammates will do before they do it." Vex studied the images but could not understand what he was seeing. Human soldiers moved through the darkness like they shared one mind. Each warrior knew exactly where to go and when to strike without receiving orders or signals, sir, Zeth said quietly. "Our soldiers are beginning to question whether these humans are actually primitive. Some are saying they fight like beings who have studied warfare for thousands of years." Meanwhile, on the surface, Kim Tae-ho was proving that alien technology meant nothing against human determination and creativity. His team had grown from 4 people to a network of special forces, soldiers, defected aliens, and civilian resistance fighters. The defected aliens were perhaps the most important part of this growing resistance. When alien soldiers encountered human mercy instead of human hatred, some began to question everything their leaders had told them about the invasion. "These humans are not weak," said Glenn, a young alien soldier who had been captured and treated with kindness by Dongwu. "They could have killed me easily, but instead they gave me food and medicine. They asked about my family and my home planet." Glenn now worked with the human resistance, providing information about alien tactics and technology. He was not alone. 3 dozen alien soldiers had abandoned their post to join the humans they were supposed to be fighting. "Why do you help us?" Tae-ho asked Glenn during a planning meeting. "In an underground tunnel. We are supposed to be enemies." "Because you showed me that enemies can become friends." Glenn replied, "My commanders told us humans were savage creatures who would torture prisoners and kill without mercy, but you are the opposite of everything they said." This was happening all across Earth. Alien soldiers who expected to fight barbarians instead encountered people who offered friendship even in the middle of a war. Captain Kim Soo-jin of the South Korean Air Force had organized a brilliant psychological campaign. Her pilots could not penetrate alien shields with missiles or bullets. But they discovered something interesting. The shields blocked metal and energy weapons, but they did not block everything else. Soo-jin ordered her pilots to drop packages instead of bombs. The packages contained food, medicine, and messages written in alien languages that defected soldiers had helped translate. The messages were simple but powerful. "We do not have to be enemies, and there is room for everyone on Earth, and your families can live here in peace." Some alien soldiers who found these packages began to desert their posts. They told other soldiers about the strange humans who offered friendship instead of demanding surrender. These stories spread through the alien ranks like wildfire, sir. An alien intelligence officer reported to Vex. "We are experiencing unprecedented levels of desertion among our ground forces. Nearly 30% of our soldiers have abandoned their positions, cowards." Vex roared, Execute them as examples to the others. Sir, that is part of the problem. When we execute deserters, more soldiers become sympathetic to the human cause. They say we are proving that humans treat prisoners better than we treat our own people. This was exactly what Dr. Park So-young had hoped would happen. Tai-Ho's sister worked in underground hospitals treating both human and alien wounded. Her medical teams made no distinction between friend and enemy. When someone needed help, brother, she told Tai-Ho during one of their brief meetings, some of these alien soldiers are just scared children forced to fight by leaders who care nothing about their lives. They cry for their families just like human soldiers do. This information changed everything for Tai-Ho. The war was no longer just about driving invaders off Earth. It had become about showing the entire galaxy what humans really stood for. Peace through strength, mercy combined with determination. The idea that former enemies could become friends, team, he announced to his growing network of fighters. We are not just fighting for Korea or Earth anymore. We are fighting to prove that different species can live together without one ruling. Over the others, Min-Soo had made an incredible breakthrough by cracking alien communication systems. Not through advanced computer technology, but through patience and help from defected aliens who wanted the war to end. Tai-Ho, Min-Soo called over their secure radio. I am picking up traffic between their command ships. They are planning something called orbital bombardment. If they cannot win on the ground, they intend to destroy major cities from space. How much time do we have? Tai-Ho asked. 6 hours until the bombardment begins. They want to make an example that will force all remaining humans to surrender. This was the moment that would define not just the battle for Earth, but the future relationship between humans and aliens. Vex was about to make the biggest mistake in Galactic Council history. He was going to threaten innocent civilians, including the aliens who had defected to the human side, all units. Tai-Ho broadcast on every frequency, both human and alien. This is not just about military victory anymore. This is about proving that mercy is stronger than fear, that friendship is more powerful than conquest. As alien ships powered up their city, destroying weapons, something unprecedented began happening across the galaxy. For the first time in Council history, soldiers were refusing orders not because they were cowards, but because they had found something worth protecting. The final battle was about to begin, but it would not end the way anyone expected. Night covered Seoul like a black blanket, but this darkness would become the alien invaders' worst enemy. The creatures who called themselves the Masters of the Galaxy had never learned to fear the dark. They came from worlds where technology provided light everywhere and battles happened in broad daylight. Kim Tai-Ho and his team moved through the ruined city like shadows within shadows. They had spent years learning to become invisible, to use silence as a weapon, and to strike from directions. No enemy would expect the aliens had better technology and stronger weapons, but they had never faced predators who hunted in complete darkness. Remember what we saw today? Tai-Ho whispered to his teammates as they prepared for their first mission. These invaders destroyed the children's hospital where my sister works. They burned down the school we helped build yesterday. They think fear will make us weak, but they are wrong. Min-Soo checked his equipment in the dim light. What they do not understand is that humans fight hardest when protecting others. Every person counting on us makes us stronger, not weaker, Hai-Jin added while adjusting her sniper scope. Dong-Woo secured his explosive charges. They picked the wrong planet to invade. Thieu. Team had identified their first target during daylight reconnaissance. A small alien landing craft sat in the center of a park surrounded by 50 enemy soldiers. The creatures stood guard in loose formations, talking loudly and acting like the battle was already over, through his night vision scope. Tai-Ho studied the alien sentries. They moved in predictable patterns, stopping at the same spots and checking the same directions. Their advanced armor glowed with small lights that made them easy to track in darkness. They have no idea how to fight an enemy they cannot see. Tai-Ho observed. Their lights make them perfect targets and they never look up. The first alien sentry disappeared without making a sound. One moment he stood at his post and the next moment, empty air filled the space where he had been. His fellow guards did not notice for several minutes because they expected no real threats. Min Su had used climbing techniques learned from mountain training to reach the alien from above. A simple sleeper hold applied correctly could make any living creature unconscious within seconds. The alien soldier woke up hours later, tied securely, but unharmed in a hidden basement. The second sentry vanished just as quietly. Hai Jin used patience and precise timing to approach from a blind spot in the alien's patrol route. Her training taught her to move only when her target looked away, and to freeze completely when any other enemy might see motion. By midnight 6, alien guards had disappeared without trace or alarm. Their fellow soldiers began to notice empty posts, but they could not understand what was happening. No enemy had been seen. No shots had been fired. No explosions had occurred. Report to command. The alien squad leader ordered. Tell them we may have equipment malfunctions causing soldiers to abandon their positions. But Tae-ho was just beginning to show the invaders what human special forces could really accomplish. While his teammates continued eliminating sentries, he moved toward the alien communication array that kept the landing party in contact with their main fleet. The device looked like a crystal tree growing from a metal base. Energy flowed through it in patterns of blue, and green light alien technicians monitored the equipment from a small shelter, but they never thought to watch the shadows above their heads. Tae-ho dropped silently into their midst. The two technicians found themselves unconscious before they could raise an alarm. Within minutes, Min Su had used his mechanical knowledge to turn their own communication system into a jamming device that blocked all signals in and out. Communication is down, Tae-ho reported over the team radio. They cannot call for help and they cannot receive orders. Explosives are set, Dong-woo responded. Their power supply will overload in exactly 10 minutes. Sniper positions secured. Hai Jin confirmed. I have clear shots on their command post, but instead of destroying everything immediately. Tae-ho made a decision that confused the aliens completely. He approached two wounded alien soldiers who had been injured when their own equipment exploded earlier. The creatures lay bleeding on the ground, abandoned by their comrades who were too busy trying to understand what was happening to their forces. Tae-ho could have left them to die, or finished them quickly, but his training included something the aliens had never encountered. He gave them medical aid. Why? Do you help us? One alien gasped as Tae-ho bandaged his wounds. We are enemies. Because that is what humans do. Tae-ho replied simply, we protect life, even when that life belongs to someone trying to hurt us. The alien stared at this human warrior, who could have killed him but chose mercy instead. Your leaders taught you this. No. Tae-ho said, we choose this ourselves. Every human makes this choice every day. This conversation was transmitted by the alien's personal recording device back to their command ship before the communication jamming took full effect. Within hours, every alien soldier in the invasion fleet heard about the human warrior who showed kindness to fallen enemies. By dawn, the entire alien landing party had vanished. Not destroyed, not killed, just gone. Their ship remained intact but empty. 60 soldiers had disappeared without a single distress signal or emergency beacon. The only evidence of their fate were confused reports about ghost warriors who appeared from nowhere. On the command ship orbiting Earth Council leader Vex received the disturbing news with growing anger. How does an entire landing party disappear? He demanded. Where are our soldiers? Sir, we are receiving similar reports from landing sites around the planet. His aide reported nervously. Human resistance forces are using tactics our databases do not contain. Impossible, Vex snarled. They are primitive creatures with simple weapons. Sir, perhaps you should review the latest intelligence reports. These humans appear to fight using methods we have never encountered. Vex studied the footage from helmet cameras worn by missing soldiers. The videos showed impossible things. Human warriors appearing from empty air alien soldiers, falling asleep at their posts for no apparent reason. Equipment failing in ways that seemed almost magical. But most disturbing of all were the reports of human kindness toward alien prisoners. Every species the Galactic Council had conquered before fought with hatred and fear when invaded. Humans seemed to fight with something else entirely. "Sir," the aide continued, "some of our soldiers are requesting permission to return to their ships. They claim these humans are unlike any enemy we have faced. Cowards." Vex shouted, "I will show them how to deal with primitive humans. Send more landing parties, double the guard posts, increase patrol frequency." But Vex was making the same mistake other alien commanders had made for centuries. He was trying to fight human special forces using conventional military thinking. He did not understand that Navy SEALs like Kim Tae-ho had trained their entire lives for exactly this kind of impossible mission. As the second night fell over Seoul, Tae-ho and his team prepared for their next operation. Word had spread through human special forces around the world about the successful tactics used in Korea. Elite units everywhere began adopting similar methods. The aliens had superior technology and greater numbers, but they faced an enemy. They could not comprehend warriors who fought harder when protecting others, soldiers who showed mercy to fallen foes, people who turned their greatest weakness into their most dangerous strength. Vex would soon learn that conquering Earth would require more than advanced weapons. It would require understanding the human heart, and that was something no alien database could teach. The morning sun had just started to rise over Seoul when the sky began to change. Dark shadows appeared above the city like storm clouds, but these clouds had straight edges and glowing lights. The massive alien ships descended slowly, blocking out the light and casting the entire city into an unnatural twilight. People stopped walking on the busy streets and looked up at the impossible sight above them. Cars came to a halt as drivers stared through their windshields at the enormous vessels floating in the air. Children pointed at the ships while their parents pulled them closer with trembling hands. Kim Tae-ho was eating breakfast in his small apartment when his sister, So Young, called him. Her voice shook with fear and excitement. "Brother, turn on the news right now. Something incredible is happening." Tae-ho grabbed the remote and switched on the television. Every channel showed the same thing: giant alien spacecraft hanging over major cities around the world. The news reporters could barely speak as they tried to describe what everyone was seeing. "This is not a drill." The news anchor said, "Unknown vessels have appeared over Seoul, Tokyo, New York, London, Moscow, and dozens of other cities. We have no communication with these craft, and military forces are responding." Suddenly, every television screen went black for a moment. Then a new image appeared. A tall alien figure with 4 arms and glowing red eyes filled every screen on Earth. The creature spoke in perfect human languages. "Humans of Earth, I am Council Leader Vex of the Galactic Empire. Your planet has been selected for integration into our domain. You have one choice: surrender immediately and accept our rule, or face the consequences of resistance." The alien leader gestured with one of his arms, and the camera showed weapons emerging from the bottom of the ships. "Your primitive technology cannot harm our vessels. Your metal projectiles bounce off our shields like raindrops. Your explosive devices are toys compared to our power." Vex leaned closer to the camera. "We offer you mercy if you submit now. Lay down your weapons, abandon your governments, and prepare to serve the Galactic Empire. Those who resist will be eliminated. Those who cooperate will be allowed to live under our guidance." The transmission ended and normal television returned, but nothing felt normal anymore. The reporters struggled to make sense of what had just happened while emergency sirens began wailing throughout the city. Tae-ho grabbed his gear and ran toward the door. His training kicked in automatically. Check weapons, secure communications, find team members, report to base. He had prepared for many different emergencies, but alien invasion was not in any manual. His phone rang as he reached the stairs. "Tae-ho, this is Min-soo. Are you seeing this?" "On my way to base," Tae-ho replied. "Contact Dong-woo and Hye-jin. Tell them to meet us at the emergency rally point." "Already did, sir. They are moving now." As Tae-ho ran through the streets, he saw panic beginning to spread. People rushed in all directions carrying bags of belongings and crying children. Police officers tried to maintain order, but they looked just as scared as everyone else. Then the first attack began. Blue beams, of energy shot down from the alien ship, striking government buildings and military installations. The beams cut through concrete and steel like hot knives through butter. Explosions echoed across the city as important structures collapsed into rubble, but Vex made his first critical mistake. The aliens targeted military and government buildings, but they also hit hospitals and schools. They destroyed bridges that families needed to escape, and power plants that supplied electricity to homes. Alien leader thought this would make humans surrender faster by showing them how helpless they were. Instead, it did something else entirely. It made humans angry. Tae-ho reached the military base just as another wave of energy beams struck the main headquarters building. He dove behind a concrete barrier as debris rained down around him. Through the smoke and dust, he saw his teammates running toward him. "Sir, the regular army units are being destroyed," Min-soo reported. "Their vehicles and weapons cannot penetrate the alien shields. Nothing we have can hurt their ships." Commander Yoon. Sang-ho emerged from an underground bunker with ash covering his uniform. "All conventional forces are overwhelmed," he told the assembled special operations troops. "Regular missiles bounce off their defenses. Regular bullets cannot harm their soldiers." The commander looked at the group of elite warriors standing before him. "This is why we trained you for impossible missions. This is why you learned to adapt and overcome any obstacle. The enemy expects us to fight like a normal army, but we are not a normal army." Tae-ho felt something change inside him as he watched smoke rise from the destroyed hospital where his sister worked. The aliens had made their second mistake by thinking fear would make humans weak. Instead, it awakened something far more dangerous. "What are our orders, sir?" Hyejin asked. "Survive, adapt, and complete the mission," the commander replied. "Show these invaders what human special forces can really do." As the team moved through Seoul, they used underground tunnels and hidden passages to avoid alien patrols. The creatures walked through the streets in groups of 10 carrying energy weapons that glowed with deadly light. They stood 8 feet tall with thick armor covering their bodies. "Look how they move," Dong-woo observed through his binoculars. "They walk in straight lines like they are on parade. They do not watch the shadows or check the rooftops. They think they have already won," Min-soo said. "Their formations are loose and lazy." Tae-ho studied the alien patrol patterns from a hidden position. "They expect no real resistance. These beings have never faced an enemy that fights back after the first attack." Through his earpiece, Tae-ho heard reports from special forces teams around the world. British SAS, American Green Berets, Russian Spetsnaz, and elite units from every nation were all facing the same situation. Conventional weapons were useless, but human determination was stronger than ever. "Team," Tae-ho said quietly, "we are going to show these aliens something they have never seen before. We are going to show them what happens when you threaten the people we protect." As darkness fell over the burning city, the aliens celebrated their easy victory. They had never encountered a species that continued fighting after such a devastating first attack. Every other world had surrendered within hours of the initial demonstration, but Earth was different, and Vex was about to learn why human warriors were the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. The massive silver tower on planet Nexus Prime reached high into the purple sky like a giant metal finger pointing at distant stars. The Galactic Council chamber sat at the very top, where huge windows showed the endless darkness of space filled with tiny lights from 1,000 different worlds. Council leader Vex stood 12 feet tall with 4 powerful arms and skin that looked like dark metal. His red eyes glowed as he stared at the enormous screen floating in the center of the room. The screen showed a small blue and green planet spinning slowly in the black void of space. Earth looked so peaceful from this distance. The white clouds moved across blue oceans while brown and green land masses sat quietly beneath them. Vex made a sound that might have been laughter but came out more like the growl of a hungry beast. "Look at this pathetic little world," Vex said to the other council members who sat in floating chairs around the circular room. "Our scouts have been watching these humans for 6 months now, and what have they learned? These creatures are the weakest warriors in the entire galaxy." His chief advisor, Crix, stood up from his chair. Crix looked like a giant insect with 6 arms and eyes that could see in all directions at once. He had conquered 15 different worlds for the Galactic Council and never met a species he could not defeat. "The reports are very clear, sir," Crix said, while pulling up more images on the screen. "Human soldiers spend more time building schools and hospitals than they do fighting real battles. They actually stop in the middle of combat to help wounded enemies. They follow something called rules of war that prevent them from using their full strength." Other council members began to laugh. The sound filled the chamber like thunder. The idea of warriors who limited themselves during battle seemed impossible to understand. How could any species survive if they showed mercy to their enemies? "Show me more of these weak human soldiers," Vex commanded. The screen changed to show footage from Earth taken by invisible alien spy drones. The first image showed a group of human soldiers in green uniforms helping villagers rebuild homes destroyed by flooding. Instead of carrying weapons, these warriors carried tools and bags of food. "These are supposed to be their elite forces," Crix explained. "They call themselves Navy SEALs, and they are considered the most dangerous humans on their planet. But look what they actually do." The footage showed a man with short black hair and strong shoulders lifting heavy wooden beams to help construct a new school building. His name was Kim Tae-ho, though the aliens did not know this yet. They only saw another human wasting time on pointless activities. Tae-ho worked alongside 3 other humans. Park Min-soo was a shorter man with quick hands who seemed to understand all kinds of machines. Lee Dong-woo had the build of someone who could run for miles without getting tired. And Choi Hye-jin moved with the grace of a hunter, but spent her time teaching local children how to read. "Look at this foolishness," Vex said, pointing one of his 4 hands at the screen. "Their strongest warriors act like construction workers and teachers. Instead of training for battle, they play with small human offspring. Instead of building weapons, they build places of learning." The Alien Council watched more footage that their spy drones had collected. Human soldiers sharing their food with hungry people. Human soldiers carrying wounded civilians to safety. Human soldiers stopping fights between different groups instead of joining the stronger side. "Sir, our analysis shows that humans actually become upset when innocent beings get hurt," Crix reported. "They will risk their own lives to protect creatures they do not even know. This makes them predictable and easy to defeat." Vex nodded with satisfaction. Everything he saw confirmed what he already believed. Humans were soft, weak creatures who would crumble the moment real warriors attacked them. The Galactic Council had defeated species with better technology and larger armies. Surely these emotional humans would surrender within days. "How long until our invasion fleet is ready?" Vex asked. 3 weeks, sir. The ships are loading supplies and warriors as we speak. Once we arrive in their solar system, it should take no more than 72 hours to claim complete victory. Make it 48 hours, Vex ordered. These humans do not deserve the honor of a long battle, far below on the planet Earth. Kim Tae-ho finished helping the village complete their new school. He wiped sweat from his face as he watched children run through the doors, eager to see their new classrooms. His team gathered around him as the sun began to set behind the mountains. "Good work today," Tae-ho told his teammates. "Tomorrow we start training exercises in the northern mountains. Command wants us ready for anything." Min-soo looked up at the darkening sky where early stars began to appear. "Do you ever wonder if we are alone out there?" "Why would we be alone?" Hee-jin asked. "The universe is huge. There must be other life somewhere. I hope if we meet them someday we can be friends," Dongwoo said. Tae-ho nodded. "That would be good if other beings exist. I hope they are peaceful like most humans try to be." None of them noticed the tiny metal objects floating high above the clouds, watching their every move, recording their words, and sending the information back to the Galactic Council. The alien spies saw only more evidence of human weakness, talk of friendship and peace, instead of conquest and strength. That night, Tae-ho received a call from his sister Park, So Young, who worked as a doctor in Seoul. "Brother, strange lights appeared in the sky tonight." Several pilots reported seeing objects that moved too fast to be normal aircraft. The government is asking questions, but no one has answers. Tae-ho looked out his window, at the stars that seemed brighter than usual. Something felt different in the air, like the feeling before a big storm arrives. His training taught him to trust these feelings, but he had no way to know that enemy ships were already moving toward Earth. Probably just military exercises, he told his sister. But stay alert. If anything unusual happens, call me right away. I will be careful, brother. After the call ended, Tae-ho could not shake the feeling that change was coming. He checked his equipment and made sure his team was ready for their mountain training tomorrow. Little did he know that the real test would come much sooner than anyone expected. High above Earth, the Galactic Council's spy drones continued their silent watch. They recorded Tae-ho checking his weapons and planning training routes. The aliens saw this as more proof that humans were simple and predictable creatures who could never match the power of a real galactic army. In exactly 21 days, Vex would learn just how wrong he was about the warriors of Earth. 3 weeks had passed since the invasion began, and everything had changed. The confident alien fleet that arrived expecting easy victory now faced something no Galactic Council force had ever encountered, an enemy that grew stronger through compassion and deadlier through mercy. Kim Tae-ho stood in the underground command center that had become the heart of human resistance around him. Worked a mixture that would have been impossible to imagine when the war started. Korean Navy SEALs sat beside defected alien soldiers. Human civilians shared information with enemy deserters who had chosen friendship over conquest. Sir, we have established contact with resistance cells in 47 cities, reported Min-soo, who had become a master of alien communication technology. Special forces units worldwide are reporting similar success rates. The enemy is losing ground troops faster than they can be replaced. But the most important change was not military. It was personal aliens who had come to Earth as conquerors were learning what it meant to be human. They discovered that strength could come from protecting others, that victory meant something different when you fought for love instead of fear. Clem, the young alien soldier who had defected after experiencing human kindness, now served as Tae-ho's advisor on alien tactics. Commander Vex is becoming desperate, he reported. The stories about human mercy have spread throughout the fleet. Many soldiers refuse to fight anymore. What kind of stories? Asked Hai-jin. They tell about the human warrior who bandaged wounded enemies. Clen explained. About the human doctor who operated on alien soldiers to save their lives. About human children who shared food with hungry alien prisoners. These stories had become more powerful than any weapon. The Galactic Council had conquered dozens of worlds through fear and superior technology, but they had never faced an enemy that conquered hearts instead of territory. On the main command ship Council, Leader Vex paced back and forth like a caged animal. His forearms gestured wildly as he shouted at his officers, "How can primitive humans defeat the greatest military force in the galaxy?" "Sir," replied Intelligence Officer Crix nervously, "Our analysis suggests these humans are not actually primitive. Their tactics show sophisticated understanding of psychology, logistics, and strategic thinking." "Then why do our databases show them as a weak species?" "Because, sir, we measured the wrong things. We counted their weapons and ships, but we did not measure their determination. We analyzed their technology, but we ignored their motivation." Beck studied the latest reports with growing confusion. Alien soldiers were deserting not because humans threatened them, but because humans offered them something better, a chance to be part of something larger than conquest, a purpose beyond just following orders, sir. Crix continued, "We face an enemy that fights harder the more we threaten innocent people. They become more dangerous when protecting others, not when protecting themselves." This was exactly what made human special forces so effective around the world. While alien commanders struggled to understand their enemy, human warriors were adapting and evolving. British SAS teams had learned to use alien equipment against its makers. American Green Berets turned alien supply depots into recruitment centers for defectors. Russian Spetsnaz units convinced entire alien platoons to switch sides. The breakthrough came when Min-soo finally cracked the alien command frequency completely. "Tai-ho," he called urgently. I have access to their orbital bombardment systems. They are preparing to destroy Seoul, Tokyo, London, and 10 other major cities. Can you stop it? Not from here, but if we can reach their main command ship, I might be able to disable their weapons from the inside. This seemed impossible. The alien flagship orbited high above Earth, protected by shields that no human weapon could penetrate, surrounded by smaller ships that could destroy anything approaching from space. But Tae-ho had learned something important over the past 3 weeks. Human special forces succeeded not by being stronger than their enemies, but by being more creative, more determined, and more willing to take risks that seemed impossible. How many defected aliens do we have with security clearances for the command ship? He asked. 12, replied Klen, including 3 officers who can access restricted areas. And how many human special forces are ready for a mission that might be suicide? Every person in the underground command center raised their hand without hesitation. Humans, aliens, civilians, soldiers, doctors, and engineers, all volunteers for a plan that had almost no chance of success. Then here is what we are going to do, Tae-ho announced. The plan was brilliant in its simplicity. Defected alien officers would use their security codes to transport human special forces. Teams aboard the command ship. The humans would disable the bombardment weapons while aliens loyal to the resistance created confusion among the ship's crew. This is insane, said Commander Yoon Sang-ho when he heard the plan. You are talking about infiltrating the most heavily defended vessel in their fleet, sir. Tae-ho replied, 3 weeks ago you told us to do the impossible. We have been doing it ever since. As the teams prepared for what might be their final mission, something unexpected happened aboard the alien ship's. Reports arrived that changed everything. Sir, an alien communications officer reported to Vex. We are receiving surrender offers from human governments around the world. Vex smiled for the first time in weeks. Finally, they understand their position. Actually, sir, they are not offering to surrender to us. They are offering us the chance to surrender to them. What? The human leaders are promising safe passage home for any alien soldiers who want to leave. They guarantee protection for any aliens who want to stay. They offer medical treatment for our wounded and psychological counseling for soldiers traumatized by the war. Vex stared at the communication in disbelief. They think they have won. Sir, perhaps. They have. Our ground forces are gone. Our soldiers are defecting. Our mission has failed. For the first time since the invasion began, Vex began to understand what his forces were really fighting. The humans had not defeated the Galactic Council through superior weapons or tactics. They had won by offering something the Council never could. Hope. As Tae-ho and his team prepared to assault the command ship, they knew they were not just fighting for military victory. They were fighting to prove that the future could be different, that enemies could become friends, that the galaxy was big enough for everyone. The final assault on the alien command ship began exactly as Kim Tae-ho had planned. Defected alien officers used their security codes to transport human special forces teams aboard the massive vessel that orbited high above Earth. The plan was working perfectly until something unexpected happened. The battle stopped. As Tae-ho and his team moved through the ship's corridors, they encountered alien soldiers who simply laid down their weapons, instead of fighting these enemies, stepped aside, and pointed toward the command center. Some even offered to help guide the humans through the complex maze of passages. This is wrong, whispered Min-soo. Where is the resistance? We prepared for heavy combat. Sir, reported Hai-jin over the radio, I am seeing the same thing throughout the ship. Most alien soldiers are not fighting. Some are actually protecting human team members from the few who still want to fight. Dong-woo emerged from a side corridor with 3 alien guards walking beside him like allies instead of enemies. These soldiers want to help us reach the command center. They say Commander Vex has gone insane and is preparing to destroy cities on both sides. This was the moment when Tae-ho realized the war had already been won, not through violence but through something much more powerful. The stories of human compassion had spread throughout the alien fleet, creating doubt, then hope, then open rebellion against orders to destroy innocent people. The human special forces teams reached the main command center expecting a final desperate battle. Instead, they found chaos. Alien officers argued among themselves while some tried to disable the bombardment weapons. Others worked frantically to prepare the attack on Earth's cities. At the center of this confusion stood Council Leader Vex. His forearms waved wildly as he shouted orders that fewer and fewer soldiers were willing to obey. His red eyes burned with fury and desperation as he saw his perfect invasion falling. "Apart, fire the bombardment weapons now," Vex commanded. "Destroy their cities and show the galaxy what happens to species that resist the Council." "Sir, many of our own people are in those cities now," replied his weapons officer. "The defectors who joined the humans will be killed along with millions of innocent beings." "They are traitors," Vex snarled. "They deserve whatever happens to them." "But sir, what about their families? What about the alien civilians who have done nothing wrong?" Vex raised one of his weapons toward his own officer. "I will kill anyone who refuses my orders." That was when Tae-ho stepped into the command center. He moved calmly through the chaos with his hands visible and his weapon lowered. The alien soldiers who had been arguing moments before fell silent as they watched this human warrior who had become a legend throughout their fleet. "Commander Vex," Tae-ho said in a clear voice, "this war does not have to end with more death." Vex spun around to face him. The alien leader towered over the human, but something in Tae-ho's calm expression made the giant creature hesitate. "You," Vex growled. "You are the one who corrupted my soldiers with your weakness? I showed them strength." Tae-ho replied, "The strength that comes from protecting others instead of destroying them." Around the command center, alien and human soldiers watched this confrontation between two very different kinds of leaders. Vex represented the old way of thinking that power came from fear and conquest. Tae-ho represented something new, the idea that true power came from inspiring others to be their best selves. "Your soldiers are not weak," Tae-ho continued. "They are brave enough to choose what is right, even when it goes against orders. They are strong enough to admit when they were wrong and work to make things better." "Impossible," Vex said, but his voice carried less certainty than before. "Soldiers must follow orders without question." "Why?" asked Tae-ho. "So they can destroy innocent people. So they can become monsters who care nothing for life." The human warrior took a step closer to the alien commander. "Your soldiers did not defect because they were cowards. They defected because they found something worth fighting, for something better than just following orders." Vex raised his weapon again, but several of his own officers moved to stand between him and Tae-ho. These aliens had spent weeks learning about human values, and they were no longer willing to kill for a cause they no longer believed in. "Sir," said one of the alien officers, "the human speaks truth. Our mission was supposed to bring order to the galaxy, but all we have brought is fear and suffering. Perhaps it is time to try something different." Added another, "Perhaps it is time to learn from these humans instead of trying to conquer them." Vex looked around the command center and saw something that terrified him. More than any weapon, his own people had stopped following him. They had found leaders who inspired them instead of threatening them. Leaders who offered hope instead of demanding blind obedience. "You will all be executed for treason," Vex declared, but the words sounded empty even to himself. "No," said Tae-ho firmly. "There will be no more executions, no more threats, no more fear. We are offering you something better." The human warrior did something that shocked everyone in the command center. He removed his helmet and set down his weapon. Then he extended his hand toward the alien leader who had invaded his world. "Commander Vex, this war can end right now. Your soldiers are tired. My soldiers are tired. But we are all still alive, and that means we can choose to build something better together." The silence in the command center stretched on for what felt like hours. Vex stared at the offered hand, trying to understand how everything had gone so wrong. How had his perfect invasion turned into this moment where his enemy offered friendship instead of demanding surrender? "Why?" Vex finally asked. "Why show mercy to someone who came to destroy your world?" "Because that is what humans do when we are at our best," Tae-ho replied. "We fight when we have to, but we would rather help than hurt. We protect the innocent even when they are supposed to be our enemies." Your species is weak. No, said Tae-ho with a small smile. Our species understands that real strength comes from lifting others up, not tearing them down. Real power comes from inspiring people to follow you, not forcing them to obey. Slowly, very slowly, Vex lowered his weapon. The alien commander looked around at his officers who had chosen to stand with the human warrior instead of following orders to destroy cities full of innocent people. What happens now? Vex asked. Now we work together to build something better. Tae-ho said, your technology combined with human determination, your knowledge combined with human compassion, we can explore the galaxy as friends instead of conquerors. The war ended, not with explosions or surrender ceremonies, but with former enemies shaking hands and choosing cooperation over conflict. Word spread throughout the alien fleet that their commander had agreed to peace. Within hours, ships began landing peacefully. In cities around the world, alien soldiers emerged not as conquerors but as beings seeking a new way to live. Human crowds gathered not to fight, but to welcome these former enemies who had chosen friendship. Dr. Park, So Young, worked alongside alien medical officers to treat the wounded from both sides. Her hospital became a symbol of what was possible when different species worked together for the common good. Captain Kim Soo-jin led combined human-alien flight crews on missions to help rebuild the cities damaged in the fighting. Her pilots discovered that alien technology could repair in days what might have taken months using human methods alone. Commander Yoon Sang-ho established training programs where human special forces taught alien soldiers about protecting civilians while alien officers shared advanced tactical knowledge. But the most important change happened in a small ceremony held 1 week after the fighting ended. Kim Tae-ho stood before representatives from dozens of worlds as Vex officially dissolved the Galactic Council's policy of conquest. We came to your world believing that might makes right, Vex announced. We learned that true strength comes from protecting the weak, that real leadership means serving others, that the most dangerous warriors are those who fight for love instead of fear. Later, as alien ships prepared for peaceful exploration missions instead of invasion fleets, Vex met privately with Tae-ho, human warrior. Vex said, my species has conquered 47 worlds. We defeated armies with superior technology, larger numbers and more powerful weapons, but we never faced anything like you. What made us different? Tae-ho asked. Other species fought for territory, resources, or revenge. You fought for something we did not understand. You fought for people you had never met, for ideas that gave you no material reward. You fought hardest not when you were angry, but when you were protecting others. Vex paused and looked out at the stars where human and alien ships now traveled together. That is not weakness, he continued. That is the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. The power to inspire others to become better than they thought possible. As the former alien commander prepared to return to his homeworld to spread the news of what he had learned on Earth, he asked one final question. What will you do now that the war is over? Tae-ho smiled as he watched his sister treat both human and alien patients with equal care as he saw Min-soo teaching alien engineers about human creativity, as he observed Dong-woo and Hee-jin training mixed-species special forces units. What we have always done, he replied. We will help others. We will protect the innocent. We will build, instead of destroy. And we will show the galaxy that the strongest warriors are those who know when to fight and when to offer friendship. The galaxy would remember this day as the moment